Hello again everyone, this is Vincent and this is episode 5 of the Manufactoria walkthrough. The next level I'll be doing is soldiers. Alright, this is another binary level. In this level we have to take a binary string and multiply it by 8 with blue as 1, red is 0 as per usual. As you can see, the solution is quite simple. You just write 3 reds at the end. How this works is, say we had our example binary number from one of the previous episodes, 1011. Now, if I multiply the number by 2, for example, what I'm doing is I'm multiplying every part of the sum by 2. So 1011 is 1 times 2 to the 3 plus 0 times 2 to the 2 plus 1 times 2 to the 1 plus 1 times 2 to the 0. If I multiply that all by 2, what I get is 1 times 2 to the 4 plus 0 times 2 to the 3 plus 1 times 2 to the 2 plus 1 times 2 to the 1 plus 0 times 2 to the 0. So if you convert that back into your binary number, what that would be is 10110. So putting a red at the end of a binary number shifts everything up 1 digit place, which is multiplying it by 2. The analogy in decimal, the equivalent is if you put a 0 at the end of a number, you're multiplying it by 10. If you take 1, multiply by 10, add a 0 at the end, it becomes 10, put a 0 at the end, it becomes 100, and so on and so forth. So in order to multiply something by 8, you just multiply this number by 2 3 times, which is adding 3 zeros at the end, or 3 reds in this case. So this is more just a test of your understanding of binary rather than a test of your programming skills. Alright, the next level is Robotanks. This is another binary level. In this level we have to accept a binary string greater than 15, or the equivalent way of saying that is greater than or equal to 16. So the binary number 16 is 2 to the power of, or 2 to the power of 4 is 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Anything which is greater than or equal to 16 must have 5 digit places, sorry. So we're assuming that the first digit place is 1, because reds before the beginning of a binary number are just zeros, they don't really contribute anything. Alright, so what I do in this machine is, first of all, robot pops down here, and if it's empty, of course we're going to reject it because it's 0. If it starts with any reds, we're going to rip them off, because reds at the beginning of a binary number are pointless and just annoying. So we keep ripping off reds, and if we run out of symbols in the meantime, we just reject it here until that we see our first blue. So this is the first blue that we see, or the first one. Then we just check if it's. Then we just send it through 4 other red-blue conveyor belts, one after the other. At the last conveyor belt, we check if there's a red or a blue, or if it's got no symbols at all. If it's got no symbols at all, what that means is somewhere along, we must have run out of reds and blues before we reached 5 digit places, because 16 is blue, red, 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 or 5 symbols, or blue, red, 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 red. So if we had less than 5 digit places, what you'd have is somewhere along this line, either one of these or here, you would have no symbols left, so it would just follow the grey arrow to the rejection floor square here. And if it's anything greater than 16 has to have 5 digits, and it doesn't matter what color they are, because 16 is the smallest one which we accept, and it's blue followed by 4 reds, which we just send to the exit here, because the last one has to be either blue or red, or the 5th one, that is. This one we reject it because it's 15. We rip off all the reds first, and then we only see 4 symbols, but now we've run out of symbols, so it follows the grey arrow down there. This one we accept because there's 5 symbols, which is blue, 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 and then a red, which just goes under here to the exit. Alright. The next level is Robo-children. In this level, we have to accept an equal number of blue and red in any order. So it's not like the Android level where you have n number of blue, n number of red. In this one, they're in any order. So we can't use the symmetrical property of the Android's level to solve it. Alright, so what I do here is, first of all, I have my string and I put a green at the end of it. And assuming if it was an empty string, they'd just be a green. So we just strip the green off and it just goes down the grey arrow to there, where you'd have 0 blues and 0 reds. What happens here is, so assume you have a string followed by a green, goes down here. Now here, we check the color of the first color of the string. So it could be red or blue. If it's, suppose, red, we go follow this branch, so we rip the first red off and we don't replace it. Then we go to this branch conveyor where we keep copying any reds we happen to see. If we run out of symbols then, and we haven't seen a blue yet, it follows the grey arrow and we reject it, because it says that we've got too many reds. Otherwise, if we see a blue, we rip that blue off as well. So what we've basically done is we've ripped off at least one red and one blue, until we go to this machinery, which is mirrored over here except with slightly different colors. So what happens here is I got this branch conveyor. If I see any reds, I copy them. If I see a blue, I rip it off. And if I see any more blues after that, I copy them. If I see another red, I send it back here. So what this does is, if it sees the string changing from a string of reds to a string of blues, so it sees blue and then red, it cancels those out as well. So it just makes the process a bit more efficient, because you can also remove a few more reds and blues rather than just having to remove reds and blues one by one. So this just makes it a bit faster. But the reason, and after that, when I reach my green, I send it up the grey arrow. Now the reason why I have a blue right here is because when I went over this side, I needed to spend a blue to get over here. So I need to recompensate it because I haven't cancelled it with the red yet. So I had an extra blue before the green, and then I put the green back, or on this side, I recompensate the red and put a green on, and then I go back to here where I start the cycle again. And if there is an equal number of blue and red, eventually all the blues and reds should be gone because of either this process or this process. And then you just have green here, I rip the green off and it follows down here. And if it has an unequal number of reds and blues, it should eventually be rejected out here or here, because there should be at least one blue or one red which doesn't have a corresponding opposite color. So here, the first color is red, so I copy that red until I find a blue which I cancel out, and then blue, copy a blue, then cancel with another red, and write a green, and I rip that green off as well, because you don't want to have greens appearing for some reason. Speed this up. This one we'll reject. This one, blue, red, go through a second time, and then we see a red, but then we don't have any more blues. Alright. The next level is police. Alright, in this level we have to give an output where we are given an even length string, which is nice because it won't work if it's odd length. So we have an even length string and we have to put a yellow right in the middle of it. But the problem is, because it's neither the end nor the beginning, we can't use any of the tools we've seen so far to find the beginning or end. So what I do is, first of all, I put a yellow, green, yellow at the end. Then I go into this loop, which you've seen before, and what this does is it checks for the end of the string. Or more specifically, a red or blue followed by a yellow. Then when I see that yellow, I first put a yellow and then I replace the color which was at the end of the string. So if it ended in red, I put a yellow red. So now the red comes after the yellow. Then I copy the rest of the string which hasn't happened for the first cycle, so it just follows the grey arrow because there's a green, because I put one there, rip it off and put it back on. And normally we'd have to copy the rest of the string, but for the first cycle you just see another yellow, so you rip it off, and then instead of immediately replacing the yellow, we read the first color beginning the string which we just copied down here. So if the string begins with a blue, you send it up here and write a blue before we put the yellow on, or if it's red, we put the red on before we put the yellow. So basically what I'm doing is I started with a yellow, green, yellow, and the first yellow moves in, and both yellows move away from the green by one step. So then I go back to here, I copy the rest of the string until I see my yellow again, and suppose it ended in red. And then I swap the place of the last, and then I swap the place of the yellow and the last color, either here or here. And then, because I've been doing this, I've been moving the yellow forward, and that is where the copying comes in, until I see my green, which signals what the yellows are moving away from, which I take off, put back on. And then, because I've been moving the next yellow one step forward, I need to copy the rest of the string as well, until I see my next yellow, and then I move and then I swap the first dot of the original string with the yellow. Eventually, you should get to a point where you just have a yellow followed by the second half of the string, followed by green, followed by the first half of the string. In that case, because we see a yellow follows a grey arrow down here, we rip the first yellow off, and then we copy the second half of the string until we see our green, and then it goes here, we rip it off, and now the first half of the string is at the beginning, and we have a yellow in the middle. So now we just copy the entire string until we hit that red yellow. Then we swap the place of the yellow and the red, and then we swap the place of the red and the yellow with the other yellow moving forward. And we have to repeat this again. And eventually we have our yellow followed by the second half of the string. Alright. So I think I am out of time, so I will see you in the next episode, starting with the level Teachers.